Welcome everyone to the fifth poker vlog. First one unnamed PokerBabbo. I'll talk more about that at the end. Today it's gonna be a little extra fun since there's mystery splash pots. So how does that work? Basically every half an hour or an hour, if you're lucky, they splash your pot, but it's a mystery. It's in a folder, and until someone wins the hand, they don't show. And it could be from $50 to $250. So that definitely makes a lot of action. So with that said, let's start with the first hand of 2-5. First hand in, it's one of the splash pots. Let's try to take it down. Undergun one limp, slow jack makes it 45, hijack, cutoff call, it's on to us. It looks like a pretty big raise, but if it's a minimum $50 in the pot, I kind of think it would be like a 2-5-50, right? I'm not sure about that. First time playing a splash pot, that's just what my logic decided in the moment. But queen 5 off is just such a bad hand. Suited, I'd probably call, but yeah, ended up folding, felt a little too loose. All right, let's play some regular poker with ace king off under the gun. We make it 20 and only the cutoff calls. That's a pretty action player, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes deuce 9-4, so we miss. I decided to check against this player that plays pretty wide pre-flop, so I'm not sure where I'm at. And he does check back, so pretty good. We may be good. Let's see a turn. Turn is a 7. I check again. Once I check the flop, I don't think it makes sense to bet the turn. And he bets 30. That, again, just like with me, I don't think that makes sense either. Maybe if he's going thin for value, turning a 7, I think you'd make it smaller, not that big of a bet. And my guess was a flush draw came in on the turn, and maybe he has that. People sometimes get aggressive once they get a draw. So I think my ace is good, a good amount of time here. So I call. River is the 5 of spades, so the flush comes in and straights come in. So yeah, definitely not the river I was hoping for to hear a call with the ace. So we check, and thankfully he checks back. We show our hand, and it is good. We have a little upgrade in our next hand with ace king suited in low jack. Undergun 1 makes it 10. That is not a thing, just 2x. So yeah, always 3-betting here. We make it 35, and we get the cutoff and under the gun 1 to call. So 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 8-4 king. So with top, it checks to us. We bet 60, and they both fold. So we take it down. All right, another splash pot. Let's see if we can take this one down. I didn't mention on the previous one, there was $250 in envelope. So yeah, could be decent money. All right, let's see. We're under gun 2, and we look down at 9-5 off. Okay, not the best. Undergun makes it 10. Undergun 1 calls, and yeah, even though it's a garbage hand, I'm not folding the $10. So I call. It gets to the low jack, and he raises to $150. So yeah, there goes our dreams of winning this splash pot. But I just want to show you guys what happened just to see what crazy action happens sometimes in these splash pots. So the big blind calls, and they go heads up to a flop. Flop comes 6, king, 8. Now, low jack goes all in. That's a huge overbet, over double the size of the pot for $700. And the big blind snap calls. Turn is a deuce. River is a 8. And the low jack shows pocket aces. And the big blind shows king 4 off for top pair for kicker. And that is why splash pots are amazing. It creates so much action. So hopefully we can get a decent hand and get involved next time. All right, on to the next hand. We have jack 10 suited in the big blind. There's a $10 straddle in the button, so low jack and hijack limp for $10. It folds to us, and we make it 60. And only the button straddle calls, so you go heads up to a flop. Flop comes king, 8, 5. And yeah, we have some backdoor straight draws, but usually to construct a bluff, I'd like at least to have as well a backdoor flush draw. And this player, the button, he's pretty tight straight up. I was surprised that he straddled in the first place. So if I bet any calls, I just feel like I got to give up since it's mostly kings. If I check, I could see what he does since I don't think he bluffs too much, and he may check back if he didn't hit it either. So that's what I decided to do, and he does check back. Turn is a 4, and yeah, as I said, I think he's always betting his kings on a flop now, so I think he mostly has ace high or pocket pairs, and let's try to get those to fold. We bet $60, and he calls. River is a deuce. Now we bet $175, trying to get sticky 8s or pocket pairs to fold. Maybe he had like an ace high flush draw. And when you bluff, you got to consider what you're doing this with value, because if your line makes no sense, it's a lot easier to call. And I think I'd be call controlling with my weaker kings since I put the button as a tighter player. So the fact that he calls $60 pre-flop felt decently strong. So if I have king jack, sometimes king 10, king 9 suited, sometimes I'd raise king 7 pre-flop. If it's suited, I'd paw control and just check, and then decide to get value on a turn and river. So I'm trying to represent those hands. Let's see if it works. He goes in the tank and finally does find the fold, and we take it down. All right, time for another splash pot. Hopefully we can get a decent hand this time. And we do. Ace jack off. pretty good. Not super premium, but definitely above average. Under the gun one makes it $100, and he is one of the tighter regs, so definitely feels strong. But in a 2-5-50, it's just 2x, and I want to win one of these. And folding when I got such a good hand for a splash pot felt too tight, so I call. We go heads up to a flop. Flop comes 10, 3, 8, so not much going on for us, and he bets $150, so not much to do. We fold, there goes $100, and in the splash pot there was $100. So hey, we tried. On to the next, we got ace-7 suited in the cutoff. We make it 15, and only the big blind calls, so heads up to a flop. Flop looks pretty good. It's 6-6 deuce, so we have the nut flush draw plus 2 overcards, and he checks. We c-bet for 15, and he calls. Turn is not what we were looking for. It's another 6, so there's 3 6s on board. Our flush draw is not worth much anymore, since probably whatever's calling is very likely a full house. If he has a 2 or some pocket pairs, or he's in a big blind, he could have a 6. When he checks, I decide to check back. I think my ace has plenty of showdown value, so I don't think I need to turn it into a bluff. River is a 3, so 4-5 gets there, and now he bets $60. That's pretty much pot. And the more I think about it, I wouldn't have hated calling with an ace high, since that big of a size, I think he's trying to say he has a 6. I don't know if he'd bet that big with maybe if he had a 2, or he rivered a 3, or just some medium strength pocket pairs, since he didn't 3-bet pre-flop. So yeah, I think we could be good here a decent amount of time, but in the moment we fold, so we'll never know. He takes it down. Next hand we have ace king off in the big blind. The low jack limps, the hijack makes it 20, the cutoff calls, and I 3-bet to $85. That is definitely on the smaller side. I think it was just a mistake. I didn't realize the cutoff called, because usually I make it 4x plus whatever caller, so it'd be 80 plus 20, and the limper 105, but it's 20 less than what I would have done. But anyways, I make it 85, and only the limper calls, so that was definitely not what I expected. So heads up to a flop. Flop comes 8-4 deuce, so we don't hit at all. He only has 250 behind, making this spot kind of strange. Thinking back, maybe I wouldn't have hate checking here, because he limp called a 3-bet. So I think a lot of times it's pocket pairs, and if I bet here, all the pocket pairs are going all in. And if I check, all the pocket pairs may bet or go all in, and maybe he'll have some bluffs, thinking that this board just doesn't hit me and I'm just giving up, and he'll go all in with his pocket pairs and some other hands that we're beating, so I can just check call. Anyways, I do just decide to bet. I make it $80, and he pretty quickly folds, so happy with that, and we take it down. Now we're just playing 6-handed since a few people left. When the hijack makes it 15, we call, happy to play in position, and the big blind calls as well, so 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 8-8-6, so 2 pairs with the 6-5 kicker, back to a straight draw, back to a flush draw. Can't complain. It takes to the hijack. He c-bets for $15. We're not going nowhere. We call, and a big blind folds, so heads up to a turn. Turn is the 7 of spades, so our pair gets downgraded, but we have a straight flush draw, so that's way better. Now the hijack slows down and checks, so it's on to us. Let's get some value with all of the good rivers we could hit, and the 6 may be good. So we make it 35, and he calls. River's a beautiful jack of spades. He checks, and with the front door flush missing, I think we could bet big here, since overpairs may have to call, since there is still a lot of missed draws, and it's more likely I had one of those in the back door. So we make it 125, and he pretty quickly folds, just showing that he had a flush draw and missed. On to the next hand, we have king queen suited in undergun 2. Undergun makes it 15, and we don't have a calling range really here. We 3-bet to 45, and only the undergun calls, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes queen 8-9, so top pair, king kicker, pretty good, but kind of a scary board. He has 8s, 9s, ace queen, jack 10 of course. I don't think he has queen 9 and queen 8 that often, raising under the gun and calling a 3-bet. But when it checks to us, I think we're beating more hands than we're losing against, and if he check raises us, we can decide what to do then. We c-bet for 35, and he calls. Turn is beautiful. It's a king, so now we have top 2, and it doesn't change too much since jack 10 was already a straight on the flop, and I think he would check raise that most of the time with sets and 2 pairs on the flop, so I think we're always good here. Let's get some value. We make it 100, hoping for a call, but that's not the case. He pretty quickly folds. Once again, we're back in the big blind with ace king off. Under the gun 2 makes it 20, cutoff calls, and we're always 3-betting here. We make it 100, and only under gun 2 calls, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes 6-6-5, and I decide to check that I'm not a fan of. I think I should c-bet here. who was smaller size, 100%. His have all the aces, have all the kings, the queens, and he was undergun too. So I don't think he has too many sixes himself in this spot. So yeah, I would have preferred c betting here, and like that we get to see a cheap turn as well, and we get hands to fold, and the turn could be a king or ace. But in the moment I decide to check, and he bets $110, and yeah, I just hating this spot. First time playing against this player, but he seemed pretty aggressive, and I just felt if I call, he's barreling almost every turn, and I'm not a fan of calling $110, hoping for ace or a king and having to fold if that's not the case. So felt very weak in the moment, but I felt like I just handcuffed myself after checking and him betting so big. So I do end up finding a fold. Pretty frustrating fold, but yeah, he takes it down. We're having a pattern in this session because once again, we're in a big blind with king, queen off, hijack, cut off, limp. So we raise it up to $30 and they both call. So 3 ways to a flop. Flop from 773, so yeah, we completely miss, but it's super dry, so they may have missed as well. And we do have 2 overcards, so there's some good turns. So we decide to give it a little stab at it. We bet $30 and we get the good news when they both fold and we take it down. So yeah, not the best session, just up and down, basically breaking even. We're down $84 and it's 10 o'clock. We're ready to call it a day, but we're under the gun. So let's just see one more hand for free. We look down an ace queen off and there's a button straddle. So we make it $35 and only the small blind calls. Flop comes queen, 8-8, so pretty good. 2 pairs with the ace kicker. Small blind checks, and this player is the older gentleman, the super action one that was in my previous vlog. And against him, I decided to check for 2 reasons. The pot control, because he has plenty of 8s. And a lot of times against weakness, he goes pretty crazy and just bluffs his stack off. So that's what I do. Let's see a turn. Turn is a 3. He checks, and I'm getting chips ready to bet. And he tells me, whatever you bet, I'll call, and laughs. So yeah, that's interesting information, but yeah, I'm not checking twice with such a strong hand. I make it 35, and as he said, he calls pretty quickly. River is a 7, and now he leads out for $100, so yeah, definitely interesting line. I don't see the merit in raising, and definitely not folding after checking the flop against this player. So I flick in the call, and he shows 10 ace off. So he turned his ace high into a bluff, and we take it down. I was planning on leaving since the next hand I'm the big blind, but that previous hand made me feel pretty good. So I was like, one more. I'm just getting lucky playing from the rack. So let's play the big blind. We look down at ace-8 suited. So nice, pretty good. Low jack makes it 15. Button, the action older man calls, and we call as well. So 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 8-8-6. So yeah, trips, ace kicker, saving all the good run for the end. It checks to the button, and he bets $50. That is an overbet, so against that size, I'm definitely not raising. That just shows so much strength. And this player, the action older man, I think he could literally be doing this with anything, and I don't want him to fold. So I call, and the low jack fold. Turn comes a king, I check, and sadly, he checks back. River is a 9, and I decided to check in case he was bluffing. He can maybe just do a huge bet, but that's not the case. He checks back. He shows ace-7 off for once again an ace-high bluff. And we are home. Sorry, I forgot to film the outro where I stack the chips and cash out. I still new to vlogging, and I think I just got into the hand and forgot. And yeah, anyways, I'll get better at that. And let's just jump into about switching the name from Sharkman Poker to PokerBabbo. Pretty simple. When I picked the original name, had a completely different concept of this YouTube. I was making more videos about mindset and habits and activities to do to improve that, to play your best. And then I switched to this content of playing with the vlogs. So when that happened, I kept it for a while, but I decided to change it because I never thought of like calling myself Sharkman Poker as more like a company. So I always felt kind of weird with that. And I finally just decided, yeah, I don't want people to call me that. So I made it PokerBabbo. That felt like a pretty good representation of where I am right now. Babbo means father in Italian. I'm a father of 2 girls, and I'm half Italian. And that's my life right now, just playing poker and being a dad. So I liked it. I like how it sounds, and that's why. So let's talk about this session. Nothing crazy, truthfully. But, you know, I don't film every day. I just pick a day and I film. So we've been lucky lately that there's a lot of action. But it's still interesting. You know, you get to see how it is. And we were down like $84 into those last 2 hands, and that brought us up $180. So very happy, especially how the session was going, just super breaking even, that we end up with a decent profit, you know, nothing crazy. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Next Sunday, our new vlog that we filmed yesterday, it's gonna be so good. We got a new phone, way better quality, the video, the audio, and there's a lot of action, not like this one. So make sure you check it out next Sunday, and like, comment, let me know what you thought about this one. If you have any opinion about how I played a hand, always happy to talk about it. And subscribe, and we'll see you next Sunday.